Hey Summoners, how's it going? My name is Nathan Ing and I'll be your host for another episode of OP Pick or Ban. This video will cover the strongest champions that you need to watch out for in all 5 roles, so make sure you stay tuned for a snapshot of the recent meta. Also be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future content like this. With all that covered, let's jump right into the video. To begin, we need to run through the top lane first. A recent buff has brought Aatrox back to the top. While he's not in his previous state of being an impressive pick, so much so that he would win or go even in any matchup, he gets close to his former glory. With some added power to his Q, he's finding a much easier time outplaying his opponents or instead winning already favorable matchups even harder than before. In case you missed it, Aatrox's Q's sweet spot bonus damage was increased by 10% this patch. It sounds like a lower or moderate amount, but since he can cast ability 3 times, it really does add up when he lands that juicy combo. Now that the patch has had some time to play out, it's clear that Aatrox is a winner. His win and play rates have steadily climbed, and he's currently the most popular top laner in high elo. This is mostly due to how safe he is, whether he's used as a blind or counter pick. Players will happily lock him in if he's in a good spot. The second top laner that we'll be talking about is Tryndamere. He's happily watching many other top laners face direct or indirect nerfs via itemization. As a champion reliant on his basic attacks and critical strikes, it's always nice for him when some power is taken away from everybody else. What changes the lethal tempo continue to benefit him in this season, Tryndamere is able to outright win any duels his opponents don't flee from. If players can't effectively take short calculated trades with him, or if they're just bad at math and take bad ones, they can expect Tryndamere to quickly pick up a succession of solo kills. Also, if they get unlucky and they get critted. From there, it's an unfortunate uphill battle for his enemies, as his combat power to apply pressure via split pushing makes him a nuisance for the enemy team. There's also the fact that he is rather easy to play. With his ultimate allowing him to escape death, Tryndamere is able to play more aggressively than nearly every other top laner. Whether it's a courageous turret dive or using an ultimate to make a quick getaway to his own turret, Tryndamere makes the game much more stressful for his opponents. In a way, it feels like the enemy team is forced to play a completely different version of League of Legends anytime they're forced to deal with him. That's it for the top lane, so let's hop into the jungle next. Once again, Graves is a dominant force in the jungle. He's a notable pick in Korea in particular, where he currently contributes heavily to defining the jungle meta. Across all servers, his strength is very well acknowledged as he holds a very high pick rate as well as a 10% ban rate. His fast clear speed, powerful skirmishing power, and nearly unbeatable scaling makes him a favorite amongst junglers that love to put their team on their back. There's simply so much outplay potential with this kit in the early and mid game, and towards the late game, his raw damage output becomes so much to deal with. Players are currently gravitating towards a mix of lethality and critical strike builds to take their chances and hopefully kill their opponents before they even get a chance to react. Against tankier foes, Graves may not be able to delete them, but his built-in tankiness and mobility makes him an equally difficult target to take out without any damage items. By the way, if you're trying to improve at League of Legends and become the game-winning factor for your own teams, I strongly suggest you guys contact a coach over at ProGuides.com. We have an incredible team of coaches that can help you improve at any role or any champion. Check it out and let's continue on with the video. Our second jungle pick is none other than Diana. For several patches, Diana has been a popular champion. Her ban rates have steadily hovered above the 20% mark, indicating that she's definitely on the stronger side. If not, she's at least perceived that way. It's more likely that she's actually OP, says our analyst, so don't think that she's just overhyped. Diana isn't nearly as popular in the mid lane, but there's always that surprise factor. Locking her in makes champion select even harder for the enemy team, and if your own mid laner can actually play Diana, you're always free to pass her off if you decide that there's a better answer to the enemy's team later in the drafting phase. Diana's fast clear speed, incredible burst damage, and backline access makes her a powerful jungler, especially when ahead. Assuming optimal conditions, Diana is able to dash her opponents twice, and her ultimate also pulls them in for some serious damage as well. Maybe I should play Diana so people could, gravitate towards me, I guess, because I have pull. Anyway, given that escaping her wrath is difficult, many players, especially carry players, will find it nearly impossible to deal with her when she has enough AP builds to kill them in less than a second. And that's it for the jungle. Next we have some exciting mid lane picks to mention. This patch's mid laner superstar is Ahri. I'm not just talking about her skins. Now that players have had more than a whole patch to adjust her changes, she's doing ridiculously well. Currently the most popular mid laner in the world with over a 52% win rate in high elo, she's a pick that you can't miss. With the help of ability haste naturally found in her build, as well as the ultimate hunter rune, she's an absolute menace. Riot gave her ultimate a soft reset mechanic last patch, and as a result, she's able to get so much out of a well-cast ultimate. It's not just about the cleanup duty anymore. She's suddenly becoming the hunter that wants to take out the entire enemy team following this change. Another cast of her ultimate means that if she commits everything to finish off a kill and doesn't want to continue, she can always use that extra charge to escape. Overall, Ahri is a lot more forgiving to play than before, with a more responsive passive as well as reduced mana costs. Players aren't punished nearly as hard for missing an ability, and her Q's decreased mana cost has also made it easier for her to quickly clear out waves and recall. With all of her buffs, Ahri has come out as a much better pick overall, and players have to respect her. Veigar is another champion that has recently demanded some recognition from the player base. His last buffs were so effective that this patch he was actually nerfed. However, he's still much better off than he was previously, and the nerf that he received this patch hasn't really steered him away from his path. Although Veigar's a little bit more fragile than before and isn't able to cast his E as often in the early game, he still scales much more quickly and also deals higher damage output. Honestly, his E was already on a pretty high cooldown, so that nerf hasn't really affected him that much. By the late game, Veigar comes out equally as strong as before, as the nerfs only targeted his early game. While his win rate has dropped a bit at most ranks, he still continues to perform excellently with a close to 53% overall win rate as well as a 51% win rate in high elo. Let me also go over our question of the day. Do you like that there are champions in League that have infinite scaling? I personally do, because it really emphasizes that League is a team game. You're either putting your team at an early deficit to carry them later, or you're instead working together to shut down any future enemy threat. Let me know your answers in the comments down below. That covered, we're finished with the mid lane, so we can move on to the bottom lane. League's second most recent champion continues to terrorize the bot lane. Even after a variety of nerfs, she retains a 58% ban rate in high elo and still holds her place with over a 50% win rate. Based on region and rank, she easily passes the 51% win rate mark and even gets close to 52. While Zary had practically everything nerfed about her, player skill continues to increase as they become more and more familiar with her. As a result, a lot more players are getting carpal tunnel, but she's still OP in most players' eyes, and that high ban rate doesn't look like it's going anywhere, unless she's getting another nerf in the near future. Zary's high damage and mobility makes her everything a non-marksman player hates. A champion that's hard to kill, but doesn't seem to struggle, giving them the gray screen. As always, Jhin remains a reliable and powerful pick. He's far too consistent, and as a result, he maintains his placement as a top pick. Whether players want to admit it or not, he's one of the top 2 performing marksmen in the game. His early game power makes him one of the best at trading, and he's also equipped with solid wave clear. These tools allow him to set the pace of the bot lane, and with the importance of dragons, there's definitely more than one win condition with him on your team. Jhin is good at a lot of things. He can act as his team's initiator, taking an important enemy with his ultimate or W to get the fight started. Otherwise, he's an excellent main carry for his team, able to make quick work of squishies with his impressive basic attack damage. Finishing up with the bot lane, we'll conclude the video with our supports. Riot has done it twice in a row. They released 2 champions who proved to be incredibly powerful from the get-go. Renata is quite literally killing it, and shortly following her debut in Summoner's Rift, she already built up a high 40% ban rate for herself, which isn't surprising for anybody. If that wasn't enough, her win rate is already higher than 50% in high elo worldwide. A champion being higher than 50% upon release usually means that they're OP. This win rate will continue to climb naturally since players will continue to improve with her when given more time. Honestly, if they could play her, because she seems to be banned quite often. Honestly, I'm not surprised, and unless they gave her some absurdly low numbers on release, most of us probably predicted that she'd be pretty strong. Renata introduces a completely new mechanic into the game, and also features another opportunity to save teammates from death. However, like Akshan, Renata's ability to save an ally's life isn't tied to an ultimate ability, but a basic one instead. Her ultimate is her iconic ability to turn enemies against one another, and this obviously leads to chaos. Fed enemy carries can easily be the downfall of their own team if they get caught out by this powerful spell. That said, Renata deals a solid amount of damage and doesn't skimp on the utility either. She definitely fits a unique archetype as a sort of aggressive enchanter who provides more offensive than defensive utility. The final pick that we'll mention is Blitzcrank. He was also a victim of a nerf this patch, but the loss of 1 health regeneration wasn't enough to put this robot titan out of commission. Blitzcrank continues to uphold the values of solo queue, making sure that the game's outcome is decided by the worst player rather than the best player. A single hook is all it takes, and a simple mistake can easily cost the enemy team the entire game as things cascade out of control. Also, Blitzcrank commands more respect than many other supports simply because of the terror that he brings with his iconic hook. One single ability can be the dictator of the entire game, and on top of all of this, Blitzcrank is quite durable. Melee supports definitely can't be ignored, Blitzcrank especially. Finally, that concludes our OP pick and ban. Thanks for watching, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments down below and also read through the description to join our Discord. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a wonderful day. Peace.